Okay, so we have to do our debate recap. Yesterday we had a crazy day. We went out to some fun things, protests here and there, actual counting facilities, not counting facilities, but sorting facilities for the election. It was kind of eye-opening. It was a crazy day yesterday. So we have to do our review and our recap of the debate. Now, we did the debate live over here. I think you guys, we did a little before and after with now. But as it sits for a couple days, I just want to say overall, I think Biden did come out with a little positivity for himself on that. In other words, he passed. Well, you know what I'm saying? He didn't get an A or a B or a C, but he passed.
It was just his better debate. But, I mean, the bar was set really low, so it's not like it was anything life-changing. Of course, all of mainstream media said that he won. Every single mainstream media outlet was going to say he's won. Yeah. Blah, blah, Biden, da-da-da-da-da, which is completely false. I mean, even in his best performance, Donald Trump still pummeled him. Donald Trump still controlled the debate. He was still able to maneuver the whole thing. Every single thing that Joe Biden said, he was on the defensive because Donald Trump would bring up the crime bill. Donald Trump would bring up Biden-Obama's immigration. Donald Trump would bring up the Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats' inability to give people direct aid for COVID. I mean, Donald Trump was attacking sometimes from the left, and Joe Biden looked more like a neocon when it came to foreign policy, specifically North Korea. Obviously Trump loses points when he starts going on his whole the radical socialist Biden and all that bullshit, because we know that Biden is a Republican. So it's ridiculous. I know he's playing to his base, but I actually think if he didn't focus on that, he would get more people. And if he was a little bit more willing to give the American people something and would go over Nancy and be like, well, I'm going to do this executive order, blah, 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 I think he could actually get more people.
It's funny. I was talking to my mom about this. Oh, I got to send a link to my mom real quick to share it with her. So let me get that going because Mom wants to watch. She's at home. She said, I'm going to do a debate recap. But here's the thing, fam. I think Trump knows, and this is his team as well. He's in WWE. He understands his audience. When he does that radical left and goes after the Antifa and all that other bullshit, for us, we're like, what are you talking about? Biden's a Republican. I think he knows he's not going to get us. So I think he has his base already, and maybe he's trying to get some of those people that he can persuade to say, you know what? Maybe he is right. Maybe socialism does turn to communism. It's bad. Remember, people have empire education set in their bones.
That's fine and all. He could do that. But when he calls somebody like Joe Biden, which you can literally take, if you're criticizing Joe Biden for the crime bill, you're criticizing him for not being good on immigration, how is he going to be a radical socialist? You're contradicting yourself. So yes, he can call everybody a socialist, but it's just like a really, really dumb attack. He could still be like, well, radical Bernie, but he can always say, well, Joe Biden's just a bad Republican. I think that would be a better tactic than actually doing that. It'd be a better tactic
for us, but
not for us. Yeah. I still think it would get the independents and those people more than saying, I mean, those people who he could try to expand his base are not going to believe that Joe Biden is a radical socialist. The only people that think that are really people that have been brainwashed by the mainstream media. It's the same type of brainwashing that happens during Russiagate. It's just you can call Bernie Sanders a radical socialist and get away with it, but you can't call Joe Biden or Kamala Harris a socialist while you're criticizing them for their crime bill for all this shit. It just doesn't. It's not logical.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It doesn't seem logical to me. But I think it's once again, we're talking about mostly a lot of low-informed voters, and I don't mean dumb, just people who are consumed and not into politics. They take things at a surface level. The empire education is there. So when you use buzzwords like communism, it does play. I don't know what it's going to do, but once again, he's not getting us. People like us are not going with Donald Trump. We might not go Joe Biden, and there's a lot of people out there who will bite the bullet and go Joe Biden because they think he's a better choice. I am frightened of Joe Biden and the Democrats, especially right now with the suppression and the censorship and everything they're involved with and stuff. But let's go over a few things right now, because I think a lot of times Trump got cornered Joe Biden into lying, about the whole cutting of Medicare and Medicaid. But the one big one I thought too as well is Trump corners Joe Biden into lying about banning fracking. So here's the tweet real quick. The war room that we put up, and you could see it. So here we go.
Never said I oppose fracking.
You said it on tape.
I did. Show the tape. Put it on your website.
I'll put it on.
Would there be any place for fossil fuels, including coal and fracking, in a Biden administration?
No, we would work it out. We would make sure it's eliminated.
What about, say, stopping fracking and stopping new pipeline infrastructure?
New pipeline, exactly. No new fracking. You got to transition away from it. Look, you're going to ban fracking all across America right now, right?
I would love to.
Yeah, I'd love to too. I'd love to make sure we can't use any oil or gas, period. So look at my eyes. I guarantee you, we're going to end fossil fuel. We aren't even rid of fossil fuels.
All right. I don't think what could be more devastating, fam, than using your own words against you. You know what I'm saying? And this was an area, first of all, when he talks this way, I wish he would stay this way. But as soon as he won the primary, where Bernie, endorsed him and he went over, he started changing his tune. He was trying to, he's trying to get his cake and eat it too. He tried to go to Pennsylvania and Texas. I'm not going to ban fracking. I'm going to let things go. I'm going to let the energy business go. So now you put yourself in a very, very bad position. So your thoughts on that?
He was just doing the Elizabeth Warren thing where he was playing both sides. Yeah. Where he was absolutely like, during the primary, this is what they do. If you haven't figured it out by now, this is what happens during the primary, especially when you have a candidate like Bernie Sanders and a candidate like Tulsi Gabbard, who are a lot more aware of the climate catastrophe. Even Elizabeth Warren went out there with her green bombs. Even every single one of them was like, Green New Deal. Kamala Harris even helped AOC with the whole Green New Deal situation. This is nothing new. They completely go and try to out-left and say, oh, we're all going to support Medicare for all. We're all going to support the Green New Deal. As soon as the primary's over, they're in, bam, they back off every single time. Backed away from Medicare for all for a moment. Biden even backed away from public option. He's back on the public option train. Backed away from, they were even talking about the student loan forgiveness. Backed away from that. Kind of says that he's going to do something for $10,000 worth of a loan. Now it's the same thing with this. Well, we're going to get the Green New Deal. Now, no, we're never going to ban fracking because that's what they do. They lie. So when you take a politician's words completely 100% as a fact, you're completely being moronic because this is what they do. They lie. So when people are like, well, no, Joe Biden said this, it's like Joe Biden's going to change his tune 5 seconds from now. This is why if Joe Biden gets in, you're not going to push him left because he's already moved to the right since the primary. He's only going to go further right. You guys,
and you've given him your vote. So what
you've given him everything.
He doesn't have to conform just for you now too. And this looks bad because since Donald Trump has taken office, the first executive orders he did was sign for the Dakota Access Pipeline or the Keystone. You know what I'm saying? So he's always been pro-oil, pro-energy, you know what I'm saying? And the fact that Joe Biden's trying to play both sides.
You can't compete with that.
He's just you're going to make yourself look bad, and people are going to be like, all right, this guy's full of shit. Trump, as bad as he is, at least he's sticking to his guns of what he wants to do.
Real quick, I think technically speaking, though, I think they did cut some of those short, and I don't think Biden exactly said I will ban fracking, but he's been implying that he's gonna be more green.
Political talk, politician talk.
Right. I would love to ban fracking. That's not the same thing as saying I will ban fracking.
Exactly.
Yeah. But then when he goes and says we will not ban fracking, and the way he says it, you just negate everything else you said too. So it's really
he looks
sucks.
like a complete liar, a hypocrite. Yeah. And he literally looks like the representation of the Democratic Party, the emblem of the Democratic Party.
Johnny, go to your Trump retweets Bernie's video criticizing Joe, and then we'll go back to the other one because I think it's on the same kind of avenue because of the other area where Donald Trump said, Joe, you're lying. You've been trying to cut Medicare your whole life, your whole career on the floor. Now you're going to say no? So here it is. Johnny put it in there. Trump retweets Bernie's video. He's using Bernie's video to attack Joe Biden, everybody. You're going to go vote for Joe? He's using Bernie's video right now. Go ahead. For years, Joe Biden
thank you, Bernie.
has fought to cut Social Security and Medicare. Go ahead, buddy.
Joe, you're right here with me.
Yeah.
Have you been on the floor of the Senate? You were in the Senate for a few years.
Yeah.
Time and time again, talking about the necessity, with pride, about cutting Social Security, cutting Medicare, cutting veterans programs.
No.
You never said that.
No.
When I argued that we should freeze federal spending, I meant Social Security as well. I meant Medicare and Medicaid. I meant veterans benefits. I meant every single solitary thing in the government.
Look, here's the deal.
You're an honest guy. Why don't you just tell the truth here? We all make mistakes.
I am telling the truth.
And I not only tried it once, I tried it twice, I tried it a third time, and I tried it a fourth time.
Joe, let me repeat it again. I want you just to be straight with the American people. I am saying that you have been on the floor of the Senate time and time again talking about the need to cut Social Security, Medicare, and veterans programs. Is that true or is that not true?
No, it's not true.
That is not true?
That is not true.
I meant veterans benefits. I meant every single solitary thing
Veterans.
in the government.
Everything was on the table. I did not support any of those cuts in Social Security or in veterans benefits.
Whoa. Everything was on the table. All right, you're right. You just said it, including, in your judgment, cuts to Social Security and veterans.
In order to get the kinds of changes we need on other things related.
Joe, then
but we did not cut it.
I know, because people like me helped stop that. All that I would say to the American people, go to YouTube. It's all over the place. Joe said it many, many times, and I'm surprised. You know, you can defend that or change your mind on it, but you can't deny the reality.
All right, fam. Your thoughts on this, because this is, to me, it's just devastating right now. Really, to tell you the truth, like I said, the burners for Biden.
There
I mean,
you
are
go.
you serious? Come on, guys.
Bernie Sanders, I mean, this is how it would have gone with Trump. He would have just brought everything out. It just makes me sad, because this is like, we could have a real debate where we talk about policy and Trump can look like, an asshole next to somebody like Bernie. But next to somebody like Joe Biden, he looks like the righteous one. He looks like the honest one. Yeah, this is what I think. This is what I do. But at least I'm not lying about it.
Yeah.
Whereas Joe Biden looks like a complete and total liar. Yeah, like beyond a hypocrite. He's a complete and total liar. People want to talk about Trump being a pathological liar. Well, there's Joe Biden pathologically lying. And the fact that Donald Trump uses Bernie Sanders's attacks on Joe Biden just kind of makes you think, like, what the hell are you doing, Bernie? Like, this is like ridiculous. You were attacking Joe Biden on this very same issue, and now Donald Trump gets to attack him from the left. This is how bad the Democrats are. Donald Trump is making swings and jabs from the left. And frankly, I still don't understand why people think that Joe Biden has this in the bag when Donald Trump is literally throwing punches from the left. I mean, even progressives are going to have to be like, okay, yeah.
Joe Biden's a worse candidate than Hillary Clinton at this point, really, too,
absolutely.
with all the, because everything that the Democrats were accusing Trump doing for years about getting money and getting paid by the Russians, they're now proving that with Joe Biden too, and part of that played into this debate. And I think Trump learned something. He didn't necessarily go after Hunter because he doesn't have to anymore. When he goes after Hunter, it looks a little bit weak, but when he goes after, hey, the big guy, and I think you're the big guy, and he talked about that. We'll get into more of that because it's devastating in my mind. These whole things with the polls, first of all. They can tweak these polls. They can use the polls they want. They can give you the results they want. The only polls you should really believe in more than any poll is an exit poll. That's it. That's the most consistent poll in my mind, because you can cherry pick these polls all day. But one of the things I'm going to say too, fam, a little bit, I don't think I'm not disagreeing with you. I think Bernie would have been way better than Biden against Trump. I would have liked to see that debate, because I would have liked to see the war of ideas where, he goes, if Bernie said, I'm going to push for Medicare for all and I'm going to stop at nothing less than the public option, I would have liked to seen Trump and Bernie go back and forth about it, because that's the idea, right? We still talk about this all the time. Oh, socialized medicine. Like, what do you mean socialized medicine?
It's the complete opposite ends of the spectrum. Yes. Whereas it's with Joe Biden and Trump, you're arguing about who's the better Republican, and Trump's going to win.
Yes, by far.
Being the better Republican every single time.
Exactly.
Every single time.
Yeah.
So,
I would have loved to see that debate. I would have loved to see it on the environment. I would have loved to see it on healthcare. I would have loved to see it on
trade. Would
have
been great
on trade,
because both of them didn't like NAFTA and TPP.
TPP, yeah.
And so that's why Bernie got maligned a lot by the Democrats, because the Democrats love that. So it's an interesting thing. It's like when I talk to a hardcore Trump supporter, it's like we will agree on how much we hate Hillary Clinton. We will agree on how much we hate Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, and how corrupt the Democrats are, and the censorship, and maybe like it's wrong and all the stuff, but we will completely disagree on pretty much everything else. So it's really interesting, I think, those debates with somebody that knows what they're talking about rather than somebody like Joe Biden.
Yeah. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, it's not Donald Trump who's stopping that battle. It was always the Democrats that wouldn't let Bernie go through to have this debate, to have this war of ideas, to have this chance. You know what I'm saying? And once again, the last election compared to 2016, I liked Bernie way better in 2016.
Yeah.
In 2020, from everybody he picked on his staff by going for Center for American Progress and the Fayez Shakurs and all those other Matt Duss, I believe his name was.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about
Foreign
these donkeys
policy
in a
guy.
long time. And now a lot of those guys like Chuck Rocha and who's your boy with the Jeff Weaver and all these guys have PACs now, you know, making money.
For Biden.
For Biden.
And they're using people. I haven't even gone into that, but they're using people's likeness, people who worked in the campaign. They're using their photos and they're using the products from the campaign to promote their own crap, and they're selling it. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's terrible. But you know what? Joe is loving and caring, and Trump is a monster. You can see, like, right after Johnny, we have the little tweet I put up real quick. I just want, because this is the only thing they can go to. This is what I saw most of. Like, look at the difference between the two. The Bidens embrace at the end. The Trumps barely even touch each other. That says it all. What the fuck does that say? Who cares?
They're cold to each other. Who gives a shit about their relationship? I don't give a crap about their marriage. That's irrelevant to me. Like,
and it's a way different relationship. Okay.
Oh, well, yeah.
Trump has his faculties. He knows what he's doing, whether you agree or disagree with not.
I don't know.
Mrs. Biden is a caretaker. Okay.
Well, yeah.
Joe, honey, I'm gonna get you cookies and milk in just an hour. Good job.
I think Trump also is losing some of that as well, but I think Joe Biden's definitely far more gone.
That way, a tale of two differences. Really, Joe Biden was sweating in that debate towards the end because of the things that went on. Now, the difference between Trump and Biden, really quick on COVID, I think this is one of the biggest things for me, is that they've drawn their line in the sand.
Yeah.
Trump is going to be, it's about the economic solutions. Ladies and gentlemen.
We got to reopen.
We can't stay in the basement, Joe, like you can. They got to get out there and work.
That was another job.
You know, another great job. He got him, whatnot. But, you know, that was the differences. And mainstream media is really trying to make this it's about the COVID. It's about the COVID. It's about the COVID.
The mask.
They got the clock. They got the mask. Trump is so stupid. He said, don't wear the mask. But a lot of people aren't really taking that in as much as they are taking the economic issues in, I think.
Right.
They're going like, how am I going to put food on the table? Where am I going to live? How am I going to pay the rent? And Donald Trump has taken that position like, I'm going to have to fix this economically. We've had the greatest economy in the world, which is bullshit. I don't even want to get into that.
Yeah.
It might have helped for people in the stock market and people, small businesses. He might have helped out a little bit. But he didn't help the poor people on the streets. He didn't get people off the streets. He didn't cause the problem. I'm not going to put him on him. But it's not the greatest economy when you have 600,000 homeless people on the street.
No.
And that's the argument, this whole argument that we can get into. But when it comes to the COVID, Trump drew the line in the sand. It's like, I'm about the economics. You don't care. You're going to give a mask mandate. You're going to close down the state with you and your Democratic governors, and you're going to kill people. And the recovery is going to be worse than the disease itself.
And he named
because
California,
of you, Joe.
and he named California as one of the worst, which he was right. I mean, I had to agree with him. The way Gavin Newsom's handled California is absolutely stupid. The fact that gyms aren't fully not open at all, the nail salons took forever. All those people are not happy with Gavin Newsom or Democrats. A lot of those people are going to end up voting Republican just because of how Gavin Newsom handled it. And that's the thing. It's like, it's all one or the other. With Trump, it's like, forget safety and let's reopen schools. Let's do this. With Joe Biden, it's like, no, we got to close everything down. Mask mandates. It's like, no, you guys, like, there's got to be somewhere where you address both. They're just being extremely polarizing in their handling of that situation.
But I think the everyday people are going to matriculate more towards the economic reasons.
Yeah, of course.
Because they're going to feel like it's the whole thing with, we have to lock everything down with Gavin Newsom, with the hair gate, or salon gate with Nancy Pelosi. It's like people are suffering out there. They don't know what they're going to do, where they're going to go from here. And, they're like, some people are tired of hearing about the mask and the disease. They don't know a lot of people
because
who died. And,
less than 2% of the people have died, and so they don't really see the immediate threat, whereas like the threat of like not having a job, not having a roof over your head, not having any health care insurance. Like, you guys talk about safety, Democrats. Well, give me health care at least during the pandemic. You won't do it. So it's kind of like, people are definitely going to pay more attention to the economic pressing issue, especially because there's talk of shutting down again, especially during the winter when this comes back. Add the flu, add all these things to that. Other countries are already shutting down, and people are protesting in other countries. Like, people were protesting this morning in the UK way earlier for now, but they were protesting earlier today about the extension of it because they're trying to lock down again. They're trying to lock down in other states here too. So this is going to keep happening over and over again. And if you're not giving people money to stay at home, then they're not going to stay at home.
Fam, Halloween is canceled, says Gavin.
Halloween is not canceled.
Okay. Let me tell you something. I saw some pictures in New York where they showed up. There was a bunch of Hasidic Jewish people in a house having a get-together and whatnot, and the cops showed up and like, you got more than 10 people here, and was about to start doing some shit. That's going to happen on Halloween. I guarantee you. Watch it. Some people are going to call the cops, and here comes Villanueva and his goons, or the L.A. Police Department and their goons, breaking up Halloween parties. Watch. Just mark my words, because they don't give a damn. And they're politicizing this thing. It's oh my God, what are you doing? And people who are like, stay at home, wear the mask. People who are financially okay that don't have to worry about where they're gonna, you know what I'm saying? They don't care, and they want you to stay at home.
Like actors in their mansions are like, stay at home, wear a mask.
Yeah, shut the F up.
Like
the climate change thing we talked about.
Yeah,
he did get a little bit more pro-friendly to the environment in this particular debate.
Trump?
No. Biden did.
Okay.
So he did move a little bit because then Trump kind of courted him. You're going to lose the energy. He's Pennsylvania, Texas. I hope you hear what he's saying because he said something before. We played the fracking video, so I don't want to go over that, but there was a difference right there. Trump did said he called out Pennsylvania and Texas.
Well, because Pennsylvania is a swing state.
And yes, and now the Democrats are trying to say Texas is a swing state.
Texas is going to go red, you guys.
Please. Criminal justice, once again. Biden gets butchered here. He gets tortured. You did the 1990, and he goes like this to shut the moderator up. 1994 crime bill. And Joe, it was awful. You did nothing for black people. I'm the least racist guy on the stage. I'm the least racist.
I'm the best. I think I was the best thing for black people since Abraham Lincoln. Niko was laughing about that because I wanted to hear his perspective. No, you're not, Donald Trump. But it's just like, he's funny. It's funny because it's ridiculous. You know, it's not like I love Donald Trump. It's just hilarious to me that Joe Biden lets him get away with this, that the Democrats have literally let this happen.
They don't let him get away with it. They put forth the person who wrote the most racist bill in a long time in the 1994 crime bill. That's who you're putting for him. How are you going to do that?
They selected Joe Biden.
They did. They didn't elect him. They selected him. Trust me, these elections were not fair. The primaries were not fair. We never had an autopsy. I don't want to get into that, whatnot. And then Donald Trump goes, we got criminal justice reform. And he's got the first step back where you got Van Jones bragging about it when Kushner went to it. Now, I'm not going to say you're going to put it all on him, but if you just look at the two and you go Joe Biden, Donald Trump on policy, one's got the 1994 crime bill, which he authored, fam. And the other one got to sign the first step back. One is better, way better than the other. So on criminal justice, it's just amazing that the Democrats looking worse than the Republican on criminal justice.
And it's just like, obviously Donald Trump hasn't done very much for minorities because he hasn't done very much for the economy because poor people are still poor, and the vast majority of poor people are also included, people of color, and that the whole thing with the police, the whole thing, all of this stuff. You can't say that Trump has done a lot more, but he can take that piece of legislation, he can say that and wave it in front of the Democrats. And what does Joe Biden have? He has Kamala Harris, top cop prosecutor, as his VP. So he can't even one up that, right? He can't do any of that. He can't.
He's getting attacked from the left. Right. From Jesus,
it's disgusting.
Yeah. Healthcare was another one too, fam. I said before the debate, listen, Joe has to lie a little bit. He's got to talk about things that he'll never get done, that we know he'll never get done, but sit there and throw it out there. I said, maybe we should have a ban on fracking. He kind of had that conversation. We got to transition off of fossil fuels. And in healthcare, Joe Biden, after 47 years, is now for the public option.
Yeah.
All it takes is one debate right before an election.
Yeah, he's lying.
Joe is for the public option.
And people are like, well, Joe's for a public. He's lying, you guys. He's lying through his teeth, and you know it, and I know it, because guess what? He's taking the money. He's still taking that for-profit insurance money. He talks about healthcare people should have access to healthcare. It should be a right. With the same breath, he wants to keep the big insurance controlling it, because a public option, don't let it get twisted. He's talking about maintaining the ACA and expanding it, which basically means it's going to be the ACA, and maybe you'll get a cheaper version of that. Yeah. But it's not going to be an actual public option.
You'll never
get
the public option.
It's definitely not going to be Medicare for all. Yeah. You're not going to get it. He's lying through his teeth, but he's gone back and forth on it. We know where Donald Trump stands. No plan on Medicare for all. This was an opportunity for Joe Biden to really, really like beat Donald Trump on this, because this is one of Donald Trump's weaknesses. Like, he's awful on healthcare. He has zero plan on healthcare. But he did it. Instead, it's like, okay, an improvement on public option, but it's right before the elections. He could have done this a long time ago, and he did it. And so now it looks like
he's trying to get votes. He's fishing for votes.
Are we going to believe him or not? No.
This is the public option too as well, and we should have got the public option with the ACA, but we should have got it with the ACA when they had it. This is what Dennis Kucinich was stomping his feet about. Barack Obama had to take him on Air Force One for a ride to say, "Hey, man, you got to come along." He never went along. He put a line in the sand and said, "You will give us at least a public option." This is where I wish Bernie would have kind of went on the whole thing back then. He wasn't as popular back then. Bernie, I think, wanted to get something, but if we were able to get the public option, it's a great, I think, compromise point where we can say, okay, we have some form. You can go and you can get the public option to get into a universal health care plan, you know what I'm saying, and eventually work our way to it if it's run successfully.
I just don't think it would ever run successfully, because you're still going to have the insurance in there. So it would actually diminish the possibility of getting Medicare for all. And I think a lot of my progressive friends would agree on that. It's kind of hard to say that I wouldn't want a public option, at least because we're in the middle of a pandemic. It at the very least would be an immediate help. But I think in the long run, it would actually, because it wouldn't work here, I think it would just like...
Well, it'd have to be at the start of a progressive president's term where he hits you, gets you quickly, the first bill, get in the public action. Now he's got 3.5 years to make sure that it runs well. You know what I'm saying? To put the best people in there to make sure it runs well. So then he gets reelected again. Now you got like 6 years of a good public option that worked well because you have a progressive leader who's going to put it in play. The next push can be, let's get the whole thing.
Well, we're not even going to get into that.
Let's not get into it. But I mean, but Joe Biden did kind of throw that out there. That's the whole thing out of the blue. Like, oh my God.
That's like his little scrap to the Bernie / progressive. Like, oh, vote for me, you guys. Like that's the most he's gonna give.
Johnny, you got anything else to say about the debate? I mean, at the end of the day, who won? Who lost? What's your analysis, Johnny Sue?
Oh yeah, they just both suck. I mean, those are choices. I mean. We can laugh at how funny Trump is and all that, but you know behind the scenes and in front of the scenes, he's said some bad shit, some really bad shit. The rhetoric is important. Biden sucks. Biden stole the primary. It should be Bernie, and Bernie would be killing it on stage with Trump, I feel like. But he's a failed politician, failed leader, just like he failed his movement.
He didn't have the political will.
That's how. I don't know if it's political will. I feel like.
Threatened?
I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows?